There are two types of biasness, as we all know: conscious bias and unconscious bias. Now, conscious bias are quite easy to manage, all right? However, the unconscious bias aspect is something which is quite difficult to manage because you might not feel the presence of unconscious bias. Okay, unconscious bias happen throughout your lifetime. How you were brought up, in what environment you were brought up, okay, and at the early career, how you went through your early career, how you decide, how your mind was programmed, all right, and a lot of people unconsciously deciding based on their feelings towards certain people, okay, because we all work in office, all right, so you tend to have friction with people, okay. So for example, the so-called enemy, if the enemy makes some mistake and the case come to you for a decision, how would you react? How would you decide? Okay, would you take away the biasness and decide based on the facts, or would you think that this is the right time for me to hit this person? Okay, and I can hit him legally because he has done a mistake. How? Think about it. So this is where. So we have solution for you. Okay, we'll go through it. But I just want to explain to you what are the challenges you are facing on a daily basis. Okay, sometimes you may have a good colleague, you may like somebody would have helped you, okay, so you form a good impression on these people, but when these people committed a misconduct, a breaches, all right, so how do you decide? I i like this person, I have a lot of good impression on this person, he may not have done it, I think someone else would have done it, or he may have been provoked. All these will affect your exercise of fairness or reaching a very fair disciplinary outcome. Okay, all of us face this. Even myself, I have 20 years of experience in deciding disciplinary, managing disciplinary issues. I have it, yes, everybody. But would you be able to step out of that biasness and decide? This is where we need a lot of realization, and we need to train ourselves and make sure that we always um, don't get ourselves cloud into this kind of problem. All right, so you have seen this, okay, this picture, the blind justice, everywhere, everywhere you see that. You go to the court, you see that. You go to some of the justice department, you see that, okay. And what you can see from this lady, somebody can tell me or not? Please tell me.
Blindfolded.
Yes, blindfolded. Why? Why blindfolded? Because
So,
when
Because
we when
fairness
we
is
ex-
uh,
supposed fairness fairness is not supposed to be judged by any factors like you mentioned before, like some factors that contribute to biasness, whether it's
exactly,
you know like in daily life, whether it's a race, it's the wealth, the social status, but in terms of organization, it's the performance or maybe the um, so it's basically it's not
anything,
just
right?
yeah.
Anything. Yeah.
and
Thank
also
thank you, Eva. Who is
she's
that? The other one?
Marie. Marie.
Marie. Yeah.
Yes, and also she's blindfolded, so she should base her judgment based on her objective, not on based on subject.
Yep. Yep. Correct. Correct. Based on objective and not subject. Eva also said it correctly. Absolutely correct. All right. Because when when exercising judgment, you don't want to see anybody. Okay, you don't want to see anything, but you can't be blindfolded yourself every time you are asking you are being asked to make a decision. So you cannot say, hey, hold on, hold on, hold on. I need to blindfold myself. Okay, now tell me, you know, now. But what this signifies is that we have to avoid the biasness when we come to come to making decision. Okay, that is very important. That's why most of the time when issue come to me, so what I will do is that I will try to avoid listening to the name first. So what I will do is that, okay, tell me the facts of the case, and then I'll decide. All right. Then when we go and pursue further to issue letters and all that, then eventually we'll see the name. That's okay. Okay. So how I'm trying to avoid um, biasness is that as much as element that can affect my judgment, so I try to avoid it. All right. So this is very important.
Hi,
Now,
Mr. Mahan. I see Alina showing up her hand. You want to say something?
yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's about the fairness. I think we not decide someone whether we like or dislike. So we have to be fair to another one without like or dislike to he or she doing an attitude or something or what his activity do they do means about that.
Correct. Correct. Thank you for sharing, Alina.
Okay.
Yes, you know, that is what is also very fundamental. Yes, continue to share. I can't see you when you raise your hand, but Foster is there to help us. Okay, thank you very much. So far, you guys has been very participative, which is very good. Thank you. Okay, the next slide is on this. All right. So what do you think about this? So this is also talking about biasness. All right. I want to see who is this before I decide. Is it my friend? Before I decide for a date center, I want to see who is that. Is it my friend? Or is it somebody that I know? Okay. So this is not right. Okay. Now, what about this? So you want to exercise fairness, but you have been forced, okay, from speaking up. You have been forced from deciding. You have been stopped from deciding, right? Because you are unbiased. You are not racist. You're not discriminative. You are a very fair person. But someone else want to decide otherwise. So you now become a tumbling block for them. So they stop you. Okay? You can see this kind of scenario everywhere. All right. So how we are managing it is very important. We need to be creative, read a lot of books, okay, on how to handle such situation. Uh, to show you an extreme situation, if this is what need to be happen to someone, I think the person need to speak up. Cannot keep quiet that this they have been forced to decide uh, or make a decision, okay, without taking into consideration of fairness. All right. All right. Let's move on. I have a lot of slides to show you actually. Unconscious bias are learned stereotypes, attitudes. Um, I can't see the word is being. Okay. All right. You can read, right? So unconscious bias and why these things? Okay. All right. Okay. Unconscious bias are learned stereotype, attitude, or categorization, which are automatic, unintentional. You don't know. You don't have intention to do that, but automatically you will do that. All right. Just like probably happen in some of the countries right now, where certain group of people are being subjected to serious torture. All right. And the kind of stereotype which is being put or placed on this group of ethnic people is that this group of people are problematic. The most highest case of criminal activities come from this group of people. And when anything happened to this group of people, the excessive force is being used, it's being applied to this group of people. So you ask that person who does that, they might come and tell you that what they did is correct because it is unintentional, unconscious. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Why fairness is fundamental? Why is it fundamental? You try to be unfair to even your siblings, your own children. Okay, they will not feel the happiness. They will feel very down. They feel very discriminated. All right. And how do we answer to our conscience? Okay. We always, I say this to my colleague, my friends, and all that. When we decide on somebody's action, especially when we are all in an organization, if we decide on somebody's disciplinary outcome, which may lead to dismissal. Dismissal means termination. This person will be out of job. Okay, so what will happen to him? All right, never mind. Okay, if you have done a fair decision, can you come home and sleep peacefully? So this is always the question we must ask ourselves. Today I have decided this. Which this decision impact the others? Can I come home and sleep peacefully? Or would I come home and sleep and then I will be thinking over it over and over again that why I have decided that way? Why can't I decide it better? Okay, what will be the situation? So this is what we must always think. If you are not in the position of deciding a disciplinary action, doesn't matter. Okay, we are all in some point, somewhere on our daily life, we are making decision. So we must always make sure that we build ourselves. We must have inbuilt the fairness, strong fairness foundation in ourselves. Then whatever we do, the repercussion will always be good. Okay, so now I would like to share this YouTube video to all of you. It's also talking about fairness and judgment. Okay, let's see. This is just 2-3 minutes only. After that, we'll get back to our session. Yeah, let me try, see whether we can see or not.
Max, in case we could not do that, could you copy the link and then put in the chat so that we can
Can
see?
can you hear? Sorry, Pastor, hang on. Can you hear this?
No.
Okay. Just hang on. Hold on. I'll copy this link, yeah. I can't find the link. I'll copy this link.
Maybe Max, no worries. Later on, I can send the link to the chat group so that they can watch it after the session.
Okay. All right.
No worries.
If that is the case, then it's fine because I thought that'd be good to watch it now. Okay. All right. So basically, that video was talking about um, a person who has been sentenced to 30 over years of jail okay, for misconduct or an offense that he has never committed, okay. So 30 over years, and he has served full sentence, all right. So how this happened, okay? There are a lot of it could be unfairness, or a lot of procedural error may have taken place. However, the DNA um, testing has actually helped him, and then he's counter suing the police. All right, am I? So unfairness also will lead to a lot of other protests. Okay, repercussion, just as this happened 2 years ago by global Google employees. Okay, such a walkout globally at the same time. Okay, so why? Because of certain sexual harassment cases that um, took place at their office, but because it involved some key people, they were asked to leave the organization without going through a punishment. Okay, we often you hear this. Okay, it happened in many companies. Okay, where it happened to an operator. All right, a dismissal letter will be out, but when it happened to a certain senior people, sometimes I know a settlement will have to be will be worked out. Okay, so we have to look at it. Okay, and what is the repercussion? This is not Google is not the only company says protests arising from unfairness. There are many other countries. Okay, you can Google and see. These are the protests, some of the pictures that which I picked up. Okay, so why do you think fairness in deciding an outcome is key? Okay, so some of it we have covered earlier. All right. So is there any other input you want to share with me?
Okay, Max, I would like to share on this question because
Yes.
here you mentioned that people feel that they are treated unfairly. That's why they want to take further action, right? Maybe in the end they end up with a protest and so forth. So a lot of times when we run into any legal issue, labor issues or any disciplinary action, is because of the unfairness. So that's why I think that if at the end of the day we can resolve the issue by showing that this is a fair judgment, I think it's also a fair outcome to everybody because it starts with not being fair enough. And the outcome is I want to be treated fairly. That's why I think that fairness is the key to reach a good outcome for any issues, for any labor issues.
Yes, absolutely correct, Rita. And this is some of the thing that I would also be covering. But thanks for your sharing. You know, yes, definitely fairness. If without fairness, or if there is unfairness, that will result in a lot of other repercussions, which we are going to see afterwards. Anyone else want to share?
How about Carmen? You are quite quiet. Carmen, would like to share? Carmen could be the youngest in this group.
I see. Oh,
Hello.
so generation Z or
Yeah,
generation Y.
Yeah.
yeah. Carmen.
Then we want to hear from you, Carmen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, younger generation, what do you think about fairness? Do you
yes.
think
Being
fairness
the
still
fairness
relevant today?
is that everyone feel the same and feel equal after something is happened because different people have different knowledge and also ideas. But if the outcome finally comes to very equal to everybody, I think is more fair, is meaning fair to them.
Absolutely. Correct. Thank you for sharing. Yes. All right. So let's move on.
Uh,
Okay. Yes. Anyone
okay.
else?
Yeah,
Someone,
I'm
Max.
from China.
Susan from China. Susan, speak
Oh,
louder.
Susan.
Speak louder, Susan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. In my country, I think that it's not the problem with about the
Because we have a good country policing to protect our lawyers in our company. Because
Susan, you have to speak louder. We cannot hear you, Susan.
Can you hear me?
Now it's better.
Okay.
Now it's
This
much
is the
better.
best.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And I don't have, oh, I had a problem with my phone.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Susan.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hey, Susan, you need to hold the mic. Previously, the feedback is very good, but if you doesn't hold it, then we can't hear you.
Okay.
Now it's good. Now it's good. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I think it's not the problem about this fairness in my country, because we had a very good policy to protect our labor of company. In my company, because if for example, we want to fairs more people or 10 or more than 10 persons, we have to we have to tell the government in advance we will fire this person. So for maybe for 3 months, we will fire them and we will give them some economic pay for this ferry. So I think it's not the problem with us.
Yeah, Carmen, thank you for sharing. Yes, you may be able to see some organization where they have very robust process. Okay, to ensure fairness, they have all kind of process, right, in place. Um, Even that, to achieve fairness, still can be a bit challenging. Okay, I'll come to that. But yes, um, every organization, every country, at all the time, we try to come up with all kind of things. All right. If you look at the Human Rights Act, okay, uh, 40 years ago or 50 years ago, we do not have a law to come and tell us on our individual liberty. Okay, what is your right, and we will protect your right. Everybody know what are the fundamental rights of everybody. All right, but today we need a law to tell us. Okay, so that is the thing in any organization also. When things are not right, they will try to fix it. Okay, when fixing and after fixing, if still they are unable to resolve the issue, then you'll come up with a policy. Okay, this is how laws are coming into place in our countries as well. So if I'm unable to create a society in order, then what do? I come up with a process. Okay, I come up with a communication, and still we cannot resolve the issue. For example, driving with using handphone. Okay, we don't have these rules earlier, but today, because everybody are with their handphones and everybody are too busy with the handphones, and the law need to be tightened. Okay, so this is what happened in all the countries. So if we are in a situation or we are in a position to make the policies and rules, so this is very important in understanding the key fundamental of being fairness. If you look at the entire law framework, okay, it is also running under the platform of fairness. If you go to the court, what the court does is also talking about fairness, how they evaluate. We'll look into it later. All right. So thank you for all the sharing. Right. Let's move on. So the repercussion of being unfair or an unfair decision. All right. Employee morale. Okay. What do you think? If a person loses a job, can someone share what will happen to that person and how much destruction will happen to the person and those associated with him, like his family. Anybody?
Mr. Senha, would you like to share? Mr. Senha from Mr. Bangladesh, Mr. Senha?
Cambodia.
From Cambodia, yeah. Mr. Senha, are you here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think the people, they need a job and they need to pay their paychecks to support their living costs. So when they are losing the job, meaning that they sometimes they just hurt because they can find a new job very soon. But sometimes people will lose the job and then become a damage. So meaning that they cannot find a job and then they will suffer a while for their family. Then we call the damage. So in this particular thing, I think the employee moral also down, and then the listicity also can be not only the moral for employee who will left us, but also the moral for those who stay with us. Then they will consider is this the good employer, the good company that they need to stay with for long run. Then this also impact to the top performer who are able to can fly out easily. Then we can see in long run that this company who have low morale will be in a way that not really grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have said it all. Yes. All right. So if the decision did not result in dismissal, termination, the person still have a job, but and the person if being issued with a written letter, written warning, for example, for something that he did not commit. All right. And if this is happening rampantly in that particular organization, the morale of the employees all generally will be down. Okay, people will say that whatever you do, you're going to get punished. If there is anything wrong, somebody's neck will be on the chopping board. All right. So what's the point of defending our case? Okay, I've seen I've seen in some places where the employees' morale was so down that when you issue a letter of inquiry, they are not bothered to reply you. You know why? Because they say, however you reply, you put 10 pages of your defense. Okay, at the end of the day, they are going to punish you. They have decided to punish you. All right. So we shouldn't be creating this kind of environment. That is very important. Okay? And obviously, if somebody loses a job, the family, all right, his surrounding, he may be taking care of some of his family members, all right, some of the society, or another family or whatever it is, right? So imagine the whole family is not going to have income um, arising from something that probably he never do, or his contribution is low into that. Okay, so it's very important we always make sure that all right, a decision is very thoroughly thought through. Okay, cause of litigation, he may take us to the court. Okay, but very important, we are all under, most of us under English legal system. Okay, under the Commonwealth English legal system. So our fundamental of the legal system are very quite similar. Okay, so anybody can take anybody to the court, winning or not, that is secondary issue. Okay, so I would not say that you cannot say, oh, Max told me if we exercise fairness we can reduce litigation and all that. No. Okay, anybody can take anybody to the court under the current legal system. However, winning or not is different. Okay, if you have exercised the fairness, then chances of winning are high, and the number of litigation cases can be reduced rather than everybody taking it to the court. Okay, that's another thing. And then employees' future, employees' reputation. Okay, all the court cases will be published in the media. Okay, and in the court website. Okay, and so people can see how this company treated its employee. Okay, erosion of confidence in companies, a disciplinary process I've explained earlier, employees' productivity. So if you want employee to have very high productivity, then high morale, Okay, high engagement is very key. Okay, and under that, how you exercise your decision is very important. Attrition. Okay, this was also will lead to attrition. Moving on, in
Hey,
your daily working life, what
Mac.
kind of disciplinary cases which you have encountered? Okay, please list down. So we have, in the interest of time, okay, we skip this activity, but I'll give you the list. Okay, generally these are some of the very common disciplinary cases that we see at our workplace: general misconduct, theft or fraud, poor timekeeping or tardiness, unauthorized absence, misuse of email, internet, social media. So now we have a growing number of cases under this misusing of social media. Okay, a lot of cases are happening in social media. So please, uh, if you are in HR and if you have uh, oversight into disciplinary process, you must build a very clear policy on this, because it can be very fluid in managing this, whether it is wrong for them to say something in the social media, for them to post something in social media, or otherwise. Okay, there are organization has gone as far as um, prohibiting their employees from wearing a different brand while taking picture and posting it in the internet. Okay, because assuming you work in Coca-Cola but you wear Pepsi Cola t-shirt and then you post in the social media, so some people, some organization don't take that as serious, but some yes. Okay, some organization even ban their employees from wearing um, attire, okay, which has a big logo of other organization or other or their competitors. All right, so how do you do that? So how much of so they need to have that awareness. So these are coming up a lot, okay, on usage of social media. A lot of people say that is my private time, my private platform. I want to do whatever I like, but we have this. If you look at number 10, out of office misconduct. So out of office misconduct, if you go out of the office, it's your personal time. You can argue on personal liberty. Yes, it is enshrined in most of the country's constitution. All right. So how do you do that? Okay. So how do you control that? So what is out of office misconduct? It's very important. If you go out of the office and if you do something which can tie back to the organization, then obviously the organization can look into it. Okay. For example, after work, you and your colleague went to a pub, okay, to have a drink, and after that, there's some accident or some incident take place, some altercation take place. All right. So, and people can see, oh, you are from the company A. All right. So, and this issue was published in the media. So question is whether can the company take disciplinary action against this person? Yes, maybe yes. Okay, see how much damage and how much you can link to the organization. All right. So others you can read up, and I want to move on. Just want to show you most of the labor tribunal or industrial court. Okay, how they review disciplinary cases. Okay, when it was referred to the court. Okay, first they will determine whether is there misconduct. Secondly, whether the misconduct was the dismissal was with just cause and excuse. Okay, when you talk about just cause and excuse, just cause mean properly justified, excuse means reason. So you whether you have a proper reason to justify the dismissal. So when you analyze all this, you will go back to whether you have done it fairly. Okay, whether the decision is a proportionate with the misconduct that this person has conducted. All right. Now there is this case in Malaysia, Lily Industry versus Billy Wayne. Okay, so this is how some example of industrial court in Malaysia when they analyze the case. So why I'm showing this so that you can see this is what they call that a way that the court actually analyzes the case, and fundamentally is basing on the fairness. Firstly, there must be redundancy. Okay, this is case on the redundancy. Secondly, the dismissed workman means employee, okay, must have been correctly selected for retrenchment. So correctly selected means what? Okay, you must select appropriate person for the retrenchment. How do you select? So this is where a fairness will have to be exercised. Okay, if a person join later, then likely the person have to go first rather than somebody who has been there for many years. Okay, so when you look at, so if you use the fairness concept and think about it, yes, who should go first? Okay, I give you a different perspective. A person who has been working with you for 10 years, and there is another worker work for only about 2 years. So then you say, Max told me the fair things to do is the one who come later should go first. But if the one who stay 10 years with you has a disciplinary issue, poor performance, he did not perform well, then who should go first? Then likely you will choose the one who is a poor performer rather than who joined later. Okay, the one who joined you for 2 years may be very effective, contributing very well. So who should go first? All right. So this is how things. If you exercise fairness, you should be able to defend yourself in the court. And thirdly, the employer should have adopted a fair procedure before carrying out the retrenchment. Okay, fair procedure. So this is where the court also look at. So what I'm trying to deduct here is that if you are exercising fairness, you'll be able to exercise fairness in terms of your process and decision, and very likely you are able to win uh, any litigation cases in the court. You can win all the way. So if you are in a position of making decision in your organization, then you must set this very strongly in you, so that automatically when you are assigned to handle a case, first thing come to your mind is fairness. Okay, if this case go to the court, how the court will decide? Can I win this case in the court? I always do that. If I come to dismissal, especially termination, I will always think that whether this case can sustain in court, whether can I win in court, how the court will analyze this, how the court will question this. So I will play devil and advocate among within me. All right. So this is a tip for you. All right. Now we are going to look at the principle in making disciplinary decision. Okay. So very important. Please take note of this. Okay. One is the twin pillars of natural justice. Okay. This is the very fundamentals of making a decision. Okay, principle of natural justice, these twin pillar, these two is very important, it's very key. There are so many others, but these two is key. If you fail this, any one of these, forget about going to the court, you sure lose. Okay, first, this is a Latin maxim. It is called nemo iudex in causa sua. Okay, that means no one judge in his own cause. Okay, or in other words, no biasness. Okay, see, we come back to biasness again. So what he's trying to say, decide fairly. So when you're deciding fairly, there must not be any biasness. Okay, so very important. If you want to decide something, tell yourself, am I being biased? Is this involve my friend? Is this involve my colleague? That if I decide, it might taint my judgment. Okay, so should I step out? Yes. So that is the reason why you can, if you follow up with the court cases, either civil matter or criminal matters, you will always come to this where the judge will recuse himself. Okay, so if he feels that his fairness, his judgment will be tainted if there is involvement, let's say one of the party or the accused, okay, or the other party is of somebody that he know, his family members, his close associates, so he'll recuse himself. There are also a lot of cases where the lawyers, the defense lawyers, will apply for the judge to be recused if he found that the judge is being unfair. Okay, for example, if the judge is being instructed by a higher authority to decide certain way, so if the lawyers found that, they also can ask the judge to be recused. Okay, why? This is again hitting on the principle of fairness. All right. Second element is audi ultra partem. Okay, audi ultram partem. This is Latin maxim that means listen to the other side. So you shouldn't decide. We shouldn't decide by just merely referring to evidences or hearsay which is one-sided. Okay, if the matter is implying to the other person, you must always approach the other person and hear his side of the story. Okay, now this may look very simple. I do that every day. All right, it may look very simple, but a lot of time, to your surprise and to my surprise too, many HR expert comes to me and ask me, Max, I have a case where staff still can steal something, and he admitted, and we have video evidence. So can we sack him? So what I do, I go back to this principle or the ultram partem. Okay, listen to the other side. So I say no. No matter how overwhelming the evidence, please must hear from the other side. Okay. For example, if factory workers are fighting, altercation, punching each other, 10 people saw, you have eyewitnesses, you sack both of them. No, you cannot. You can suspend them immediately to avoid the altercation from happening again, because they might come to and see each other, they're going to fight again. So you can suspend them. But you should always call them and inquire, interview, and ask them again. That is very important. All right. So these two fundamental you should never forget when you come to decision making, especially when you are making disciplinary decision. All right. So second principle is a comprehensive disciplinary policy. I think Carmen talked about it earlier, that back in her country they have a good policy procedure and all that. Good. This is very important. Okay, you can set the expectation and principle in the disciplinary policy. This is how you decide, so that they will not deviate from the fairness. Okay, a consistent disciplinary process. Okay, this is where the key. A lot of people ask me, how do we decide? How do we have a consistent disciplinary decision? You can never have a consistent decision. Okay, if someone absent from work, for example, for 1 week, okay, let's say Mr. A and Mr. B both absent from work without applying leave, without getting approval from their superior. 1 week they were gone missing, both of them MIA, missing in action. But I may sack one person, I may keep another person. Why? Because one person may have very good reason why he absented himself without informing his superior, whereas the other person did not have a good reason. You see? So dynamic of each case is different. So we cannot have a consistent decision. But what we can do is that a consistent process, which means when there is a misconduct, there is a issue, you take action accordingly. All right. So you don't Sorry. So you take action consistently. So you don't go into condonation. If you don't take, if you're being selective, then you're not being consistent. Okay. Number 4, a fair outcome. It's key. Number 5, disciplinary punishment is a tool, not a weapon. Please. A lot of organization, they use it as a weapon. Okay. And I want all the HR people to know that it's a tool to manage people, to manage disciplinary. It's not a weapon to kill somebody, to get rid of somebody that you don't like, that the organization don't like. All right. Any question? Okay. Let's move on.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. Next.
question.
This is Foster. For the last one, you mentioned disciplinary punishment is a tool, but not a weapon. So, do you mean that if we the situation is like that? If I take disciplinary action and then I conduct the interview, something like that, then if I would terminate the staff, then it is a tool. Then if I, after the interview, listen to all parties and do all the procedures, and then I find that I should not fire that person, then I hold it, and then I do not thank him and keep him, then to me it is still a tool. So I don't quite get it. What do you mean by weapon? Is it kind of the company use this as as something to threaten the staff? You need to do well, otherwise I will send you. I will dismiss you.
Okay. Good question, Foster. Thank you for asking. All right. Yes. Okay. So disciplinary punishment is a tool, which means something that we make use, okay, to assist us to make something. Okay. So disciplinary action is to assist us to manage disciplinary and set a conduct expectation of our organization. Okay. But it should not be used as a weapon. Okay. To use as a weapon means to get rid of people that you think you don't like. All right. Not to discriminate somebody, not to get rid of somebody. A lot of times when the management or someone who has the authority doesn't like somebody, so they set the person up. Okay, put the person on a poor performance improvement plan and try to sack the person out. All right. And when there is a small disciplinary action, that person will be investigated and punished and will be sacked. That is where I'm coming from, where you use it for personal agenda rather than as a tool to manage disciplinary in your company. Did I answer your question, Foster?
Yes, yes. Thank you. And then, Alina, you want a question or comment? Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
There's one thing pop up in my mind. Is about intimidate. When there's a case that there's a superior or a manager intimidate the team, one of the team that they're asking that you means that the person, the employee, did not finish the work on time. Exactly for the
You are breaking, Arlena. You are breaking. We can't hear you.
hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clear?
I think it's the signal.
Oh. Hello.
Louder a bit.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. Is it clear?
Okay, go ahead. Your question.
Okay. Okay. My question is, sometimes we did see a superior did intimidate one of the staff.
Alina, we cannot hear you. Alina.
How about Elena? Can you type? Can you write in the chat?
And then we read out your question.
Okay. Okay.
Your question afterwards, and then Max, you can carry on in the interest of time if you don't
All
mind.
right. Okay.
Okay.
So we will move on.
Marie also has a question, right, Marie? Marie?
Yes, actually, it's not a question, just a comment. Something just came up. I just thought of something. So disciplinary management, I agree. It's a tool. It means it aids us in giving not actually punishment, but actually disciplinary actions. So it's not a weapon. It's not being used as to threaten employees, because most of the time, let's say if we see some employees go away with the rules and regulations of the company, we usually say, okay, I'll give you disciplinary actions. So we try to threat employees and use this disciplinary policy in order to sway the employee to follow the rules and regulations.
That is okay. That is I am not referring that as a tool. Okay. To remind employee to have expectation of expected conduct, failing which disciplinary punishment or disciplinary action will be taken. That is okay. All right, that is not a tool. But the tool that I was referring to is when an organization or its employee misuse the disciplinary process as a tool to get people out. All right, we have seen some organization where they have excess of employees, and instead of paying them money to retrench them, okay, they also use all kind of ways and means to get them out without having to compensate them. Okay, that is a weapon that I was trying to say. But thanks for sharing. That is a good sharing as well. And I think, Foster, do we have the question from Arlena?
I think she is still
Yeah,
typing.
yeah, there is one. This is a question about intimidation. Sometimes I hear a case that the manager intimidates a staff and the staff did not accept the manager's action. So how can we manage it as an HR, right? As an HR, right? How can we manage it, right?
So, sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you read it one more time, Rita? Sorry.
The manager intimidates the staff and the staff did not accept it. Did not accept the manager's action to him or her. So how can we manage it? I think it's related to intimidation, threatening, right? But
Okay, yeah, intimidation is threatening. If the manager intimidate the staff,
yeah,
okay, and the staff, if the staff did not take it and he doesn't feel anything, then it's okay. But if you feel intimidated, then the staff need to do something about it. He need to escalate the matter to the management or to the higher authority for it to be addressed. Okay, so when there is a issue of intimidation, then investigation will have to be take place, and then proper action will have to be carried out so that the intimidation will stop. Because if the manager going around and intimidating people, then he create very unconducive working environment. So then the other issue will follow with that. You see, for example, low productivity, people attrition will be very high, morale will be down, so on and so forth. All right, did I answer your question, Arlena? Okay, thank you, thank you. So
and
let's move on.
sorry, Max, Eva has a question. Eva?
Oh yeah. So actually, this is not really a question. Probably this is a my 5 cents to what Erlina was just asking before. So I think every organization has different or maybe their own code of conduct. That's basically the principles of the company, aside from the company policy, that we have to ensure that there is no misconduct in terms of behavior or even intimidation or even inappropriate behavior towards a certain staff or something. So we do have that sort of code of conduct in our organization. And if in any case it happens, the intimidation and all that, anyone can actually escalate that into our, we have this function called the compliance department, or even a service, like a help desk to help our employees get the report of any incidents happening related to this misconduct, so that an action will be followed up by the compliance department, not the HR. So
Yes, thank you, yeah, Eva. Yes, a lot of
I
companies
I
they
I also
establish.
wish to I'm sorry. I also wish to share because that the questions from
Who's that? Who is,
the questions from Irina. This is Kakada speaking.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. What is your name?
Kakada.
Takada.
Akakada. Okay.
Yeah, I just would like to add, the question of Irina. Normally that is we do need to communicate and our staff well about the grievance handling. That is really important because she asked the question, how can we manage it? It's one, I think that being a manager or being a human resource manager, before we recruit somebody to come to our company, we have to do orientation with them very well. It doesn't mean that only one time and then we could finish it, but we keep informing them about the rule, about the code of conduct, like Lady just mentioned earlier. This is what we are doing. So as long as we keep doing the same thing, we keep doing, keep letting them, inform. So that means that they will feel safe with our company. Yeah. It just, I give you the example. It's just like sexual harassment in workplace, for example. Even in my previous association, also in my previous company, uh, we encourage them to, to dare to tell the manager about the sexual harassment at the workplace. And we even put, that one banners on the wall that zero tolerance to the harassment. And so that is the way that we are doing. Yeah, and this is what I would like to share. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kakada. Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of organization they have this kind of process. Okay, we have whistleblowing policy. Okay, if people with have some information about any malpractices, all right, you can always use a whistleblowing channel, or organization also have their grievance mechanism. Okay, to address any of the employees' issues with regards to grievances. Okay, and very important, if you are the people managing these channels, make sure that this channel works well. All right, the employees' interests are protected. If whistleblowers, the disclosures are protected. Okay, if people raise grievance, make sure there is no adverse effect or effect to them arising from raising a grievance, because a lot of time they raise grievance and they will be subjected to discrimination. Okay, so we have to protect them, then they will have confidence in the channel, then they will continuously make use of the channel. Otherwise, if you don't have a proper system ensuring fairness in the channel, then chances are there they will not have confidence, and they will not come forward. Okay, that's very good. Let's move on. um, all right, methodology very important. Okay, all of you, you might have policies in place, procedures. Okay, but kindly ensure these are the key things that you need to ensure when you come to disciplinary action. Okay, first, investigate, review. Okay, in you need to investigate. A lot of people actually come and ask for advice. They will just give a one liner and saying that, okay, I have this situation, what should I do? Okay, can I sack this person, can I suspend this person? Well, first of all, you must do investigation, whether it is preliminary investigation, fact finding investigation, or a full blown investigation. So an investigation will have to be carried out fairly so that we have sufficient evidence to guide us on how to decide moving forward. Okay, without sufficient investigation, you will not be able to decide accurately. Review. Okay, if you are the person who receive investigation paper, you must review the investigation, question them, challenge the fact. Okay, consult. You may consult your lawyers, you may consult the expert, decide, and then you make appropriate decision. Allow them to appeal, okay, and have plan B. I'll take you through one by one on this. I'm not sure, do we still have time, Rita?
I think it's okay. Yeah, you can.
Okay, let's take one or two items. Then after that, we call it today, and we'll continue next week. We'll have a lot of court cases as well to discuss. Investigate, I've explained just now. All right, a good investigation will leave no stone unturned. All right, it's not half-baked investigation. It's a full investigation where every question will be investigated. Okay, find out the truth of the matter. Review, devils are in the details. Okay, if you miss the detail, you miss the gist of the issue. All right, avoid biasness, guided by the investigated evidences. Okay, I always tell people that don't put a feeling into it, look at the evidence. Okay, take the thinking out of you, take the biasness out of you. Okay, you are now the person who decide. Okay, so look what is the evidence saying, don't use gut feeling. Okay, gut feeling is not good in decide making a decision. Gut feeling is good during the investigation. Okay, you feel that okay, something is not right here. Okay, that is your gut feeling. Okay, then you go and investigate. So gut feeling is good while investigation, but gut feeling is not good when making a decision, because then you will go into unconscious bias. Potentially you'll go into unconscious bias. Okay, because you feel that this guy look very suspicious, but the evidence is suggesting otherwise. But you look at the face of the person, he said this person would have done it. My gut feeling say he would have done it. Then if you decide based on that, very likely you're going to make a wrong decision, and the repercussion is huge. Okay, challenge the fact, find out the root cause. Okay, this is what you challenge the fact. Sometimes investigation paper come to you, the investigator will investigate based on the issue. You will be looking at from the HR point of view on how to decide and what need to be done in terms of sanction. All right, so this is where you're looking at. So challenge the fact, if the investigation is saying otherwise, that you feel that it may not be correct, so challenge them. Okay, was it due to process weakness? Not everything somebody need to be punished. Okay, not everything a head need to be rolled. All right, so you need to find out, okay, whether it's process. If it is a process issue, fix the process. All right, was there any other facts that have contributed to the issue? Is there any other issues? Okay, any other fact? Look at the surrounding circumstances. We have seen many cases where stuff has been good all the while, but suddenly the stuff gone haywire. Why haywire? Because he started issue threatening message. All this happened lately, out of sudden. Okay, so when we investigate, we wanted to punish him, but later we found out he is going through a psychological issue after his mother passed away. Okay, so he went into depression, and then finally he has some psychiatric issue. All right, so do we punish a person who has psychiatric issue, or we render other medical assistance to him? All right, so that will guide you. Evidence is very important. Any mitigating factor? Okay, was he provoked? All right, was he coaxed into it? There's so many other mitigating factor. All right, look at his track record. Is it first time? Okay, and all that. Yeah, consult. Sometimes issue can be complex. We might be having difficulty to decide. Okay, So complex matter maybe is beyond our comprehension that require further consultation with experts. All right. So it's better to consult rather than making a decision which has huge repercussion later on. Okay. Decide. How do you decide? When you decide, you ensure you give ample opportunity for the employee to answer and defend their case. That is very important. So if you issue a show cause letter or letter of explanation, what is the reasonable time for them to reply? 1 day, 24 hours, 2 days? So you judge based on the situation where you are in. So we used to give about 5 days or 7 days. Okay, it's quite a standard timeline. Then hear from them meticulously, analyze what they are trying to say. All right, not everybody are good in writing, so they may say something, but you may want to analyze and see what actually they are trying to say. Is there something there that you don't want to miss out? Okay, weighing the gravity, ensure a fair decision. Okay, whenever I conduct training, people always ask me how to exercise fairness or how to decide fairly. I always tell them, if you are in doubt, put yourself in their shoes. If you want to issue a warning letter to a staff and you don't know whether you are doing right or not, you imagine you are the staff and you have done this and you are receiving the warning letter like this. Would it be fair? So if you think fair, then you have done a fair decision. So that is one very effective way in ensuring that we are fair. Okay, put yourself in their shoes. Right to appeal. When you have disciplinary process, okay, I believe many of you have very good and comprehensive disciplinary process, but make sure and give them an avenue to appeal. So if you ask me how many times can they appeal, one time is already sufficient. Okay, once is sufficient. All right. So have it, because why? When you go to the court at the end of the day, the court is going to look at how is your process, whether your process is fair. So to ensure fairness, additional steps are welcome. Very good. If you, the more opportunity you give to the employees, the better it is, the better the case. But that doesn't mean that you need to give 10, 20 warning letters before you sack him, but reasonable. Okay, look at the reasonableness of it. Always have plan B. This is very important because you cannot go to the organization and management and argue the law with them. All right. Sometimes there's some situation where things will have to be decided differently. Okay. So what if the decision poses different challenges? Okay. What if you do not have sufficient evidence to succeed in the court? Okay. A lot of time, even the police have this problem. Okay. When they know some certain individuals are involved in a very serious criminal activities, but and finally they arrest them. But when they arrest them, they realize that they do not have sufficient evidence to charge them in court. So what they do? So what do you do? Then you have to work out another plan. But you really need to get out of this, get rid of this person, because this person is like a poison, like a cancer in the organization, and you need to get this person out. So what is your alternative? Okay, can you work out a settlement, a mutual agreement? So these are the things that you need to look at. Okay, because I've seen many HR managers who are saying that the management did not agree with them. Okay, so very important is that as a HR person, we must always appraise and always update our management with the local laws. We may have foreigners sit as the managing director or CEO or in the management executive committee. So it is our duty to make sure that they know well about the restriction in our country's law. Okay. when come to termination or dismissal of employees, it is very, very important. But a lot of us, probably not the one, not all of you, but I'm referring to a lot of them outside there, especially in my country. Okay, they always come and say my boss didn't agree. Okay, they don't know about the law, so it's very important you make sure they are updated with the law. Then when you go and give a proposal, then at least they understand where you're coming from. For example, in Malaysia, okay, we have termination clause in the contract, either 1 month termination notice or 3 month termination notice. When employee would to exercise the termination, they can do it very easy by way of resignation letter. However, when the employer wants to exercise that particular clause, he would have to show proof, just cause and excuse. So when just cause and excuse, then this is where the our whole today's topics. Okay, we're talking about fairness, how you decide under what circumstances why you are terminating the contract. So this is a constraint in Malaysia. It is not in Singapore, our neighbor. They can just pay the notice and terminate the contract. All right. So this is, every country have their own sets of law, restriction and all that. So it's very important on that. And if dismissal is not an option, but this conduct of this person is very unbecoming, so what are the options available? So, and you may have a very strong case, for example, sexual harassment. Okay, it's a complex case. Sexual harassment, every time when I look at the case, it's difficult. Okay, the witness will come to you and say they were harassed, but when you ask something in writing, they won't give. They may give you in writing as well, but when come to punishment, or if you require them to attend a meeting, interview, or attend court, they say they don't want, because these victims are all very shy. They are female staff most of the time, and they do not want to come forward. They don't want their husband to know. They don't want their fellow colleague to know. So they prefer to hide themselves. But you already prepared to dismiss the staff. Then how do you manage it? So these are the complex things. Okay. So always have plan B. So if you want to go this way, you must have plan B. Okay, what if this happen? What should I do? Okay. Okay, I want to propose the termination to my management. In the event my management disagree, what are the other options do I have? So be creative. We must give creative solution to the management. Okay. At the end of the day, we have to solve the problem and ensure fairness. All right. Okay. Just look at this one case, then we can call it a day for today, and we'll continue next week. Okay. Just this one case. A company's personal driver to the MD met with an accident and broke his leg. As a result of this, one of his leg is shorter than the other. I believe after he had a broken leg, probably the one leg got shortened. As this is the case, he is unable to control the pedal effectively, so he's unable to drive the car. So what is the most fair move that you would propose? Okay, I'll take two suggestions from here. Two person. Who want to try? What do you think?
Anybody?
Okay.
For me, Sangha from Cambodia.
Sangha.
Would like to try on this. I think because of the accident, people don't want the accident, but this just happened, and then the driver could not be qualified as the one leg short, and the company can be considering transfer him to other departments like admin, clerk, and so on, so that he still can be in the company with a different roles. In the case that the current company doesn't have the available role, so that we can just follow the policy that we will terminate the contract, but we will pay based on the laws. And I think this accident will be covered by insurance as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, good answer. Anyone else want to try? Eva?
Yeah, actually, again, for the organization that I work for, there's a policy put in place for this certain situation that, again, like because this incident happened in a war time, so it has to be compensated with the benefits that we actually had given him in the first place, such as the insurance and all that, and the compensation.
Okay. Okay. So So Rita, Eva was talking about compensation, following their policies and all that. Yes, good. Okay, let's look at what the company has done. Yeah, the company had actually transferred him to another department. Okay, as a messenger. Okay, and this is I think like what Sangha has proposed. And as a messenger is much easier role or lower grade in that company. Okay, it may not necessarily the same with the others, but in that company probably is a lower grade, so hence resulted in salary reduction. So is this a fair move? Maybe Kakada, what is your opinion on this?
Um, I think it's based on the company and the managers themselves. That is quite difficult. And right now, if we find the word fairness here, um, that is really difficult for us to define it. But if we bring some new word to put equity, I think that we could do more than that. If I were managers over there, I would like to suggest him like, that we can compensation we will pay, and we also could train him to be much more better than that. Just like Mr. Song has said, we can put him in the administration's jobs, or we can do this is that what we could do. But if we could directly answer to this question, is this a fair move? We could not answer. This is what they can do. Yeah, they cannot do. Yeah, there is my answer. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is always an issue. Okay, it is good if you can transfer this person to a place where you can retrain him, reskill him, without losing his current remuneration package. However, if there is no availability in that place, then other role, if he is agreeable to accept other lower ranked job, and to maintain the internal equity, you can't be paying him the same salary, because a lot of other people in that position may be earning low. So a pay rationalization or harmonization will have to be carried out, which may result in reduction of pay, maybe. All right. It all depends on the country as well as the company's aspiration, how you want to decide. A different company may have different policies, different processes to ensure fairness. So it all depends. All right. However, in this situation, okay, the staff actually file a case against the company. So I my personal opinion is that at least the staff still have a job, and like what Eva said, okay, if there is a policy on compensation arising from the accident, he or she would have been compensated in that sense to ensure continuity of service, and he continuously earn his salary. Uh, so a downgrade or into another department, I don't think is a bad move. But in this case, he had filed a constructive dismissal. So in our company, in our country, constructive dismissal means implying that the employers had actually breached the fundamental of the contract, so fundamental that they cannot move the contract. The contract have changed. So that akin to termination of contract. So they file a constructive dismissal, right? So with that, we will end the session here today. Sorry, I've taken more than 1.5 hours. All right. Next session, we'll have more questions and more discussion sessions. All right. So I don't think we have time for debrief, whatever it is. I like this crowd. All of you have been contributing very good. You have been very participative. Okay. That's the way. Thank you for your participation and see you again next week. Okay.
So Max, can you just turn off this share button? Because I want to take a group photos, and at the same time I will also ask you who, if Max has some time to stay behind, and those who would like to stay behind, just like what we did for the first session of the first module, so that we can maybe Max, or we can, if you still have some questions for him, you can stay behind. Max, do you have any minutes for us? Maybe 10 minutes to stay behind. Okay,
no problem.
Let's take a group picture first, and after that, who would like to stay behind, just stay behind. Okay, so cheers. Okay, good. So just feel free to stay behind. So for anybody who would like to go, just leave now. Okay, so we'll see you next week, the same time, and then we have the same trainer for Max. Okay, see you. Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you very much. See you everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, thanks, Rita. Thanks, Foster.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
Okay, now we have, okay, so we have Susan, and also, is that Hin?
No, I just want to close.
Oh, I see.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Hin, you just show up. You want to stay behind or you will go?
Yeah, I will go.
Susan, okay, go. Feel free.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hin, you will go, right? Or you want to stay behind? You have some question for Max? You have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute. You have to unmute yourself. We can't hear. Unmute. No. Okay. Now it's okay.
Yeah, because today I'm not so feeling well, so I don't want to disturb you all. So I mute my video today. Actually, in my job also, now that we are arranging some staff movement, and also some staff who are not the performance is not satisfied during the probation period. So our management are thinking to let them go after the probation period. So that today I'm very interested in this stuff umbrella relationship. Yeah, so it's I got some idea to discuss with my management during this week.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kin. I hope you have learned something today.
Yes.
So just make sure that whatever you do, make sure you exercise it fairly. And I know, sometimes management or we might get directive to say that, I need to get this person out. Okay, but at the end of the day, you look at it, you don't have sufficient evidence. So make sure that you don't go